deal with Chris Haskins. So I
Yeah,
tagged
that's
you in it
good.
as well. So
Yeah, man. I love it. I love it. So how was your oops, this thing, right?
my audio coming through good for you, man?
Yeah, it sounds clean.
All right, good. That's what I like to hear.
How was your Thanksgiving, my brother Mike?
Thanksgiving was good, man. I'm so grateful this year. 2020, people have been complaining about this year a lot, and this has been a great year and I think people that have had a good year, and I know you and I've talked about this, they're almost nervous to say they've had a good year. And this last Thanksgiving, Leah and I were talking, my wife, and we're like, man, we've been grateful this year. We've been
Grateful.
blessed.
Grateful.
Grateful, man. Blessed.
That's right.
Huge. And I know, this whole pandemic has hit people differently, but it's a year that we can sit back and be grateful for a lot of things. So no, we had a great Thanksgiving, man. Got to chill with my family. I chilled with my family, but we also connected on Zoom with some family around the country. So that was kind of fun. And so, you know how that is.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I saw your thing with your daughter, dude, was hilarious. That thing had me cracking up. You teaching her
With the
about
money?
Yeah. Dude, teaching her like how you gonna make it on $1,200. Oh yeah, you were cracking me up, dude. You were cracking me up,
Mike,
man.
these kids, they're like $10 an hour. I'm good. Like, okay, let's do it. You know what's weird? Good.
I love it. No, go ahead. No, I love it.
Nobody showed me that growing. I'm like, okay. I thought $9 an hour. I was so good.
Oh, dude. And what the awesome thing about that was, okay, double it, go to $20, because a lot of people still think $20 an hour is a lot of money. And it is a lot of money. I'm not downplaying it, but
Yeah.
Man, I'll tell you, you're still limited,
Trapped.
Yeah, you are, man. You can't, your tires on your car go out 1 month and you're done, man.
I'm telling you, man. And I pray, you know what's weird? I think my daughter isn't listening to anything I say. And then she'll come around and she'll say something like, it just blow my mind. I'm like, wow, you are listening a little bit.
Yeah, right. Now, is it your older daughter or your middle daughter that's the entrepreneur with the bracelet company? And
That's
is that your
little one.
Is that your youngest daughter?
Yeah, she's on the ball.
Yeah, man. She's a little entrepreneur hustler, man. She's good. She's getting after it already.
She's on the ball. She's
I
on the
saw
ball.
Yeah, man. It sounds like she's rocking it.
She watches you. She saw some of this multifamily. She wants to know, Dad, I don't understand. You got all these houses. What is I don't want more than one person lives in the house. Just trying
to wrap her head around it. Yeah, no, that's so cool when kids start getting that itch. I wish this financial literacy stuff was taught in schools, my man. I so wish it was taught in schools, or even in like one of my missions, and even in our church. I'm like, why aren't we teaching more financial stuff in our churches and in our homes and schools? I'm like, man, we got to get this stuff to people so they know how to leverage a dollar and make a dollar work for them rather than to work for every single one they earn.
It's ironic, and Mike, it's so ironic that it's not taught. And it's crazy. Like, the more I make, it's so weird. I get to give more to the church. It's like my tithes go up.
Absolutely. And it's a cycle, right? Because the more you tithe, the more it just blessings continue to come, and the more it's just this big cycle, right? And I don't. Oh man, yeah. I always say one of the best investments I make every single month is my tithe, because I'm telling you, that brings me back so much more money.
I don't know why it works. I don't know why it works like that.
It doesn't make sense on paper. It's not a mathematical equation, right? And so no, it's huge, man. It's huge. It's huge.
So roundup, we have Mike Fritz today. I know you did it. I mean, I'm looking at your numbers. Unbelievable amount of support that my Roundup family has given for this for your multifamily CEO course. Mike, thank you.
Oh, thank you all, and for investing in yourself. I'm excited. One of the things Chris is so passionate about, and so am I on this channel, is raising financial literacy. And I love his passion for that, because one of the reasons through real estate that I love multifamily is I want how to invest in this so they can really get it working for them every month, so they're not having to track down another deal. You get one deal that pays you for a lifetime. I like that. And so those of you that have invested, thank you. Can't wait to see the first 15 of you that invested. Can't wait to see you this Saturday. Remember, December 5, this Saturday, we're going to go live at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And then right after the event, it'll probably be around 4 Mountain Standard Time, 4 or 5 Mountain Standard Time. I'll lock that time in this week and get you all that information when we're going to do the group coaching. So if you didn't get a live ticket, you'll get the training recording, and you can come on for that live coaching at the end, and I'm just going to answer questions. So watch through some of the training, get some of your questions, and let's go. I'm excited.
Yeah, so Mike's gonna go over, break down a deal today, and he still has his Black Friday thing. It's continuing through to Cyber Monday. That is in the video description. Some huge goodies, and I'm presuming that I think the class is already full. Mike, are we going to be able to give them the recording of that?
15. Yeah, the 15 already came in for the live, but you're going to get You're going to get the recording of seller financing secrets, which will teach you how to get into properties when you can't really get loans, or you can actually use the sellers as a bank, and it's going to walk you through that process. It's such a powerful strategy. And you're going to get that whole training and the multifamily CEO. It's 31 videos. It's hours of training and content helping you find deals, find money, operate those properties. And I'm going to give you my software, and I'm actually going to my deal analyzer software, and I'm actually going to show you it right now. I'm going to show you how I use it. Yeah. Let's go ahead and pull that up.
So round up. Let me just make sure I introduce you one more time. We got 40 people on here. Mike Fritz.
Absolutely. Bring it.
Multifamily CEO, multifamily investor. Y'all, I don't know if you've seen him before, but a friend of mine, and I'm actually looking into multifamily myself. I've been strictly in single family. But Mike today just wanted to break down a deal so you see how he does it. I think it's intriguing to see, and further take an opportunity of his trainings that he has on his Black Friday sales.
Yeah, thanks again, Chris, for what you call a roundup. It's so easy to say. It's taken you years to build an unbelievable training for people and following and what you do. So what you're doing, man, I love it. And thank you all for showing up today. And we mentioned the deal last, when did we go live, Chris? We were live last Tuesday or Wednesday last week, I think we were talking. And I lightly went through one of the deals. Well, I wanted to, as I was talking to Chris, I said, why don't we go back to that deal, show them how I got there? Because I think sometimes you see me run through numbers, and you're like, okay, hang on, but how did you get to that one and that one and that one and that one? I want to know that. And I'm like, you know what, that's a good point, and that's some of the feedback we got, so we just wanted to answer some of those questions that we've gotten. So Chris, can you see my screen now?
Yeah, you're live, brother. Bunch of numbers.
All right, good.
Bunch of craziness.
I love it. All right, so this is what I call my multifamily deal analyzer, which is in the Black Friday roundup special that Chris and I put together. You actually get this software. It's all dynamic, so when you place numbers in, numbers just pop up. So this was a specific property. Let me just show you this specific property. Can they still see my screen, Chris?
Yeah, man, loud and clear.
All right. So this is a property I gently mentioned last week. I bought this property about 2-3 months ago. I saw the property on actually my real estate agent sent it to me straight off the MLS. It was on the MLS for probably 5-6 days right before I put in an offer.
Mm-hmm.
And but I put in an offer. The power of this, I put in an offer 60 minutes after I saw the deal.
Wow.
And there's a couple reasons why I did that. Number one, I saw what was happening in the area. So for example, in this area, these are just a couple pictures. You see across the street here, you see a brand new Holiday Inn that was built.
Mm-hmm.
Well, down the street, this is the exterior of the building. Down the street, almost every major hotel chain has built a hotel on this street in the last 5 years. This street is on the upswing. We always say you want to be careful in multifamily buying close to pawn shops and strip clubs. Those are not the best of multifamily areas.
Mm-hmm.
And so to see appreciation, that is, to see your value go up. And so not that there's a lot of investors that make money doing that, but I always say when you want to see that value up your building, it's really good to go in areas that are on that upswing. So I saw this property and I went inside, just some really, really pretty pictures inside. The inside was gorgeous. So I'm like, okay, I want this property. Now, what do I do with the numbers? Why did I make an offer on this 60 minutes after I saw it? Here's what I did. Okay, so this is my deal analyzer. They listed the property for $780,000. Let me just walk you through this real quick. $780,000. I offered $700,000. So I offered $700,000. They came back at $765,000. And so I said, okay, they probably want $750,000. That's my thought. They want $750,000. And so I was going to just give them $750,000 because I'm like, that's what they want. Let's go there. And my wife actually slowed me down and said, hey, why don't we offer $730,000 and see what happens? And I'm like, all right, let's do it. We offered $730,000 and they took it. And so now
Nice.
we've got, so she saved us 20 grand just by asking.
Yeah.
So let me tell you something about real estate, by the way. This is the power of asking. You don't know if you don't ask. I'm
Mhm.
telling you, the worst thing that they can say is, no, that's a little too low. Okay, then we go back to the drawing board. But rarely do people get offended in this industry. I mean, if it's like, if I'd have came in with an offer of 200,000, they'd have been like, okay, obviously this isn't a legit buyer. So
Yeah.
there is a line, but I came in with 730,000. They took it. Now you say, but it's 720. So what happened was when we got the inspection, I saw a couple things on it, and I said,
Hold on,
these.
Mike. Before I leave, could you just before you leave that asking thing, because I'm just thinking about my life and our lives. Every lender that's loaned me money, I had to ask. Every person
Oh,
that sold me a house, I had to, let's just talk about that muscle. And I don't want to,
oh,
I'm not trying to want to beat it up, but go ahead.
no, 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 no. It's such a powerful point because I was listening to a podcast by Tim Ferriss one day, and he was interviewing a highly successful entrepreneur, and they were talking about the power of asking,
Mhm.
just asking. Like for example, right now I'm doing this in a Marriott hotel. I'm traveling right now. I'm up in Salt Lake City. I'm getting ready for a business meeting, and when I
Mhm.
got here, I just said, hey, when I'm checking in, hey, do you have any free upgrades? They put me in a suite. No extra
Wow.
money. I just asked, hey, do you have any free
Nice.
upgrades? And they're like,
Nice.
oh, sure. You know what? We got a room open. Boom, let's put you here. Just because I asked. I want to re-underline what Chris just said about asking, because you will be amazed at your life in a year from now if
Hmm.
you'll simply ask
Mhm.
anything. Maybe you're single. You rarely are you going to get a date with the person you want to be with without asking. Right? You aren't going to do it, right? And so
All right.
but the power of asking comes to real estate so powerful, because as Chris was saying, lenders, private money, whether that's a private lender or a private equity partner, you
Whatever.
have to ask, right?
Yep.
The what do you, the will you, and I think that's such a powerful principle in real estate, because
All right.
I don't think we think about that enough, right?
I think you and I and guys like, oh, well, investors, I do it so much. My wife's like, how the hell do you get people to give you? I'm like, just ask them. I'm like, what?
Right, right, right. Oh, I love it. I love it. But that's the point, though. Very few of us ever are willing. You know why we don't ask? Because we're afraid of rejection. We're afraid of
No.
hearing no. But let me tell you
Mhm.
something. Don't be afraid of no. Ask
Mhm.
any successful salesperson how many no's they hear in relationship to how many yeses they hear.
Mhm.
It's
A
usually
lot
a
more no's.
1, maybe 2 to 10 ratio.
A lot more no's.
Yeah, lot more no's. Oh,
Mhm.
lots more no's. And so you're going to hear a lot more no's. But the power of being okay with hearing no
Okay.
is when you hear yes, right?
Yep.
When you hear yes, right?
All right.
And so when I come to this, I offered 730. They said yes. Now we did an inspection on this building and found a little something. We found a couple things that needed to be fixed, and so I asked for another $10,000 taken off, and they agreed. So we
Can
got
you
another
zoom
10.
into the section that you're at?
Yep,
It's kind of
absolutely.
small. Let me
How's that?
round up. Let me. Oh yeah, there you go. That's way
Y-
better.
And I'll drag over when I see, so you guys can see it. So here's
Yeah.
the sale price. So the cool thing about this software is when I put in 700, I'm just gonna go delete. Watch this. So if I go like 720,000, see it? Oh, whoops. So I put in 700. I don't know
That's
why I can't do that.
7.2 milli.
That's a big boy right there. And then of course your down payment's going to be 180,000. This usually auto populates. I just deleted it, so it didn't. So you put in 720. That means I've got a down payment of 180,000 on this property. Now, if you're like, how in the world will I come up with $180,000? Take a deep breath, because what we just talked about, asking, is how you're going to do this number.
Mm-hmm.
But then on this whole column is what I call acquisition costs. This is how much it's going to cost you to get this property. So the appraisal cost me 2,500. The inspection cost me 1,800. Acquisition fee. I hope you were here last week. This is what I charge my
Love it.
investors to put this entire deal together. I
I
put
thought
this
about that
entire
the whole daggone holiday, Thanksgiving holiday.
This is so powerful because when you go and flip a house, you might make 20, 30, 40,000, or wholesale a house, you might make 5 or 10 grand or more, 15, 20. You can make up to 100 wholesaling, but you make a lot of wholesale. So a lot of people don't do multifamily because they're like, there's not that big payday. I'm here to tell you, there's a good sized payday if you're willing to do it right. And so you can get an acquisition fee, you as the investor or as the deal finder and putting the whole deal together. And then attorney fees. This is to put the LLC together. And then so this is how I do this. Capital improvement. This means, what if I get a property that needs a new roof right away? I put that number in here, how much that's going to cost, or if it needs new windows right away, or needs a new front door, whatever. It needs improvements right away to make the tenants be able to live there safely, and just some initial improvements.
That's
Then
what
closing.
you're going to know going into it. This is something. Those are repairs that you're going to want to know going into it, Mike.
Yes, and you'll get that out of the inspection. So
Gotcha.
here's the biggies. The big boys I look for are the roof, the foundation. I want to make sure, and the mechanicals. So the plumbing, electric, and heating. I really want to know where are the furnaces at, because those are our big expenses. Leaky faucet, we'll fix that, $100, and that's, you move on. If the roof's ruined, that can be anywhere from 5, 10, 15, 20,000, depending on the size of the building. So that can be a big fix. So you really want to look at this inspection report when you get this back. By the way, side note on multifamily, well, on anything, never buy a property in multifamily without getting an inspection. And here's why. I paid $1,800 for this inspection. The inspector, their job is to find things wrong with the property. That's their job. They justify this fee by bringing you things that are wrong with the property. And then I take that list of things that are wrong with the property. I go back to the seller and I say, hey, I didn't know I was going to have to fix this and this and this. Would you take this much off? This $1,800, I got $10,000 off the asking price because I invested $1,800. So do the math on that return on investment, right?
Tell us about that, Mike. I'm not following.
So remember, I told you they agreed on $730,000.
Oh, that's right.
So after I got the inspection, they came down another $10,000. So this $1,800 equaled $10,000 for me.
I see.
And so your inspection is a really powerful thing to have, because you can take that list back to the seller and say, I don't know that I've ever paid for an inspection and haven't at least gotten the inspection money back. I don't think I ever have. Because I would have at least said, listen, I'm going to at least need $5,000 to touch up the drywall and stuff. So you need to come down to $725. And they would have said yes, obviously, because they came down $5,000 more. And I'd have made 3 times my money, almost. And so this is a powerful number. You get this inspection and you can get number off of your this asking price. You can really bring that price down, right? So this is an important thing to have in your acquisition costs. Again, remember, this whole column is acquisition costs. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. And again, I'll have no problem answering some questions, Chris, if they're coming in. You just let me know, my man.
Okay.
And so this specific building, as you saw, was a beautiful building, very highly renovated, didn't need any major improvements. So I don't have anything for capital improvements. I didn't have to raise that. Closing costs are anywhere from 0.5% to 1%. I always add in the worst case scenario, which is 1%. My bank, it ended up being 0.5% on this deal. But I always put in 1% because I want the worst case scenario. And so I put in 1%. And on some multifamilies, they might make you pay the first year insurance and a utility deposit. You need to ask your bank about these two things when you're buying multifamily. This is one of the things that get people in hot water, especially on 5 units and above. They don't think about, sometimes they ask for a years of insurance paid up front. So for this project, insurance was $3,500. So I would have had to put in another $3,500. They didn't ask for it this time, but I'm just saying sometimes they do. So I put this in the analyzer to remind you to put that in if you need it. And if you're paying some of the utilities, that's water, sewer, trash, electric, gas, any of that kind of stuff, sometimes the utility company will ask for a couple months of a deposit up front before you move on and just pay it monthly. So you need to add that in, and you'll need to contact either the bank or the utility company for that as well. But the reason I put this in this sheet for you is to remind you of all the things to be thinking about when you're looking at a deal. This does it for you guys. You just go to your banks or your real estate agents and you find these numbers, and now you know this is the amount of money I need to go raise, capital I need to raise to get this deal done, $207,900, right? So I need to go find this, and I ended up finding 4 investors. I actually found one. So what I did was, I'll just put investor 1, just to. I found 4 investors, and one they put in $50,000. 3 of them put in 50,000 and I got 1 to put in 60,000. Whoops. 1 to put in 60,000, which was my number, right? So that was 210,000. So now I've got my money for this. By the way, round up, talk about asking. The 3 investors I had on my initial list to go get money from, the 3 people that I'm like, these are 3 for sures. I actually put the offer in because I thought these 3 guys would invest. None of them ended up investing.
Wow.
0. So here's why I want you to remember when Chris talks about private money and I talk about private money. You never know who the people that invested in this deal would, and the people that I did think would didn't. And
Wow.
So you know what I mean? And so
That's
I think
big,
that's again, the power of asking. I didn't even think I had a property manager that was managing some of my other properties. That person ended up investing. I didn't even think we're laying in bed one night. My wife's like, what about, she said his name, our property manager. I'm like, I don't know if he's really that kind of type. He kind of likes to do his own investing. Called him up. He was looking for a passive investing deal where he didn't have to do any of the work. And so all of a sudden I've got investor number 1 and I just kept working down the list.
Wow.
And so again, once I see the number I need to raise, because I've added up all my acquisition costs, now I'm like, okay, here's my target. Here's what I go after. And then I go and I lay out my investors, right? And so then we just go and we start talking to investors. So that's the first thing I do with my acquisition costs. Then over here is debt service. So anytime you put this number in your sale price, it's going to put your down payment. And this is, by the way, this is 25% down. If you get a loan that's 20, just adjust this. Or if you get a loan that's 30% down, just adjust this. But when you put in your sale price into the multifamily deal analyzer, it's going to put your down payment and then it's going to automatically put your amount borrowed over here. And then all you do is you go to, I take 720, and here's how I do this. I go to mortgagecalculator.org. This is how I do it. I'm dead serious. I go to mortgagecalculator.org. I go 720,000. And then I go, whoa, there we go. And remember I said down payment, click over to percentage. And I'm saying, okay, I'm going to do 25% down. Look, there's my 540,000. Remember I said over here, 540,000 is how much I'm going to borrow.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've got loan amount is actually 500. Then I put my interest rate. I always put in 4 as an average right now. That will change throughout time if interest rates go up or down. I just put 4%. And property tax, I don't put my property tax in the mortgage. So I just zero out all these numbers. And I come down and I just put calculate. And I'm at $2578.04 a month. That's going to be my mortgage payment, right? So then I just take that number, 2578. I just go 2578. 2578. This will automatically times that by 12, and there's your yearly debt service. This is how much you're paying per year. And the reason I go in a yearly number is because we're not planning on owning it 1 month. We own multifamily all year long. And so the amortization is how many years you're going to pay this loan off. Sometimes it's 20, sometimes 25, sometimes 30. So you'll need to change this depending on what the bank is, what kind of loan you're getting from the bank. And then I come over to my expense column. So I found out the taxes were $11,770. I found out the insurance was $3,500. I found out the management. I found a management company to do it for 4%. Now, loss to lease. Let me explain loss to lease real quick. Loss to lease is when a tenant moves out. By the way, round up. Let me just make sure I remind everybody. I know this is not the sexy stuff, but this is where you make money.
Yeah, the boring
okay.
stuff.
I'm telling you, all the money is made in the boring numbers. You know what? Driving around in a Lamborghini looking for properties and just touching one and all of a sudden it's yours, that ain't real. That just ain't real. I'm just telling you. Real estate is
Numbers.
It's numbers. And this is why I created this, because I know a lot of you may not be numbers people. So this does a lot of the work for you. By the way, the ones that are green in the multifamily deal analyzer, the ones that are green, those are the ones you need to put in by yourself. And then the white ones will just auto populate for you. So the ones that are green are the numbers you need to go track down. like taxes. There's no way I can automatically put that in because I don't know what kind of building you're buying. So then I go get the taxes, $3,500, management fees 4%. Now I'll come over here to income for just a minute. The total income is about $119,000 a year.
Is that right now, Mike, or that's
Yeah, no, that's right now. That's what it's making on day one.
Okay.
It's not what it's going to make once I get done with it, but that's what it's making day one.
Mm-hmm.
And so management's at 4%. By the way, I have a property manager. I went to them and I said, hey, I need you to do this property for $47.60 a year. Are you willing to do it? Because I need the numbers to work for my investors. And she said, yep, I'll do it for that because it's a high-end property. And she's going to make $4,700 for managing it. So the more properties you can get, you can go to your management company. Most management's in the 10% range. And I got her down to 4% because I said, you know what, I really need this property a little bit cheaper on the management side. And I was able to negotiate that.
Do you have less headache with more higher end units, Mike?
Oh, yes. Yeah, absolutely. The higher the rent, the less drama usually that you have. Now, I'm not saying that that's always the case, but most of the time that's the case. Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep. So, yep. And so loss to lease, just a quick note on what loss to lease is. Loss to lease is any money you lose in order to lease a property. That's what you might lease on somebody's profit and loss statement when you're underwriting a property. Loss to lease just means, let's say a tenant moves out. How much does it cost you to clean it, renovate it, turn and get a new tenant in, plus the amount of money you lost when it wasn't rented, right? So that number it's a little bit hard to figure out. I didn't throw that in here because this one right now, they're all rented and they're all good. And so I didn't throw that number in here. But let's say you have 2 empty units, you're going to want to put that number in there.
Did you put that in there? I see there's a percentage there, Mike.
Yeah. So I always add 5%. This can go up. Like, let's say you buy a really distressed property. It's a 10 unit and only 2 units are occupied and you have 8 units vacant. This is obviously going to be higher. These sheets, by the way, are really hard to underwrite when you have units that are that distressed because it's really hard to even look at the numbers because they don't make sense until you get those units leased up. I aim at 5% vacancy and 5% loss to lease on smaller buildings. I'm talking 2 to 4 unit buildings. The vacancy is really low. If you go up to like a 50 unit building, a higher end building, you're probably going to be in the 90 to 93% range occupancy. So this vacancy number will be anywhere from 5 to 8%.
Okay.
Yep. Now concessions, I just put this one in here because again, my job is to train you on multifamily. Concessions is something really popular in multifamily, and a concession is anything you do in order to fill a unit that costs you money. Like, let's say you run a promotion, your first month is half off. Like a lot of multifamily owners, you'll see a building, this month, if you move in this month, they do it this time of year because a lot of people aren't moving during Thanksgiving and Christmas. Yep. And so they say, if you move in this month, we'll give you, internet free for 2 months, or we'll give you your first month half off. Well, you put that in your concession because that you're losing revenue. And so you have to put how much you're investing in concessions. And then repairs, I always set repairs at 10% of your rent. That's just a number. A lot of times that number goes down over time. Sometimes in your first months, it's higher. And as you go down, that number compresses because you fixed all most of the things, right? And so that's so I always put that at 10%. Now the utilities. Oh, this is why I bought this. This is why I made an offer on this building 60 minutes from when I saw it. The owner was paying 100% of the utilities. I want you to look at these numbers. $119,000, $18,000 in utilities. That's like 15% of the gross revenue is going to utilities. That's a lot of cash. So I'm like, whoa, that's over $1,000. That's $1,500 a month that I can really recover into this property by making the tenants pay for their own utilities and not raise rent. Here's a side note on multifamily. Tenants feel much more they're okay with you making them pay their own utilities because most people kind of expect to. But when you raise the rent, they get a little funky. So if you can get them to pay for their own utilities rather than raising rent, you're still making more money. And the tenant seems to deal with that a little easier.
Like a phantom
it is.
Raise there.
It is. They don't see it as, even though it's costing them more money, and they'll see it as a raise, but for some reason they attach themselves to the rent raise, not as much the utilities.
Stay there a minute, Mike. How in the world are we going to move this around? We got meters.
Oh yeah, good question. So if let's say I go there and now on this 6 unit that I bought, now this specific project I'm walking you through, the reason, again, I told you I made the offer, it's all separately metered. And he
Oh,
was
it's
still
already.
and he's still paying the utilities, right? And so for
Nice
me,
guy.
That's the best
He's a
answer
nice
ever.
guy.
Nice guy. Yeah, he is a nice guy. And so when I saw this, I'm like, oh heck no, dude, we gotta change this back. Because let me just tell you something, Roundup. If somebody else is paying their light bill, they leave lights on a lot more and just walk out of the house,
I
leave
wouldn't care.
windows open, leave the heat running. Heat's just heating up the city, man, on your dime. And so I tell people, the reason I don't want you paying for utilities is because people treat them a lot better when they are paying for it, right? And so they tend to shut doors, keep the heat down, and turn lights off. But when I'm paying it, they don't care as much.
They don't care. All right.
But back to your question though, Chris, what if you get a 4-unit that's all on one meter, one furnace, one everything? What do you do then? How do you and you're paying for 100% of utilities? Well, that's a great question. There is something in multifamily called a RUBS system. It's actually ratio. A RUBS system called a ratio utility billing system. A ratio utility billing system means I can take all of the shared utilities, split it up between the tenants, and charge it back to the units. For example, water, sewer, trash. I can take those 3 that everybody is using and split it by 4 and have them pay for those.
Okay.
So I can charge a portion of it back, even if it's not separately metered. Because I don't know if you've ever looked at doing this, Roundup, but if you do look at what it costs to break meters open, it's pretty expensive. It's pretty pricey for you to see that money back over time. And so I'm going to be able to put this back in, but I'm going to show you something cool in a minute. But let me show you this too. A lot of people think of rent. Rent is the only place you can make money in multifamily. You can make money in rent, laundry, parking, pet fees, and RUBS, and a few others that I haven't added here yet that'll be added in the future. Like pet fees. A lot of people are charging $25 to $50 a month to have a pet because sometimes pets create more things to clean up when tenants move out.
We do.
And so, yeah, absolutely. So pet, and what's your pet fee, Chris, on your place?
20. Yeah, it depends. Small dog 25, larger dog 35.
Yeah. So in the 25 to 50 range.
Yeah.
This is a good way for you to generate revenue. Parking. This is more in bigger cities or bigger buildings.
Yeah.
If you have a duplex out in the country, you ain't paying for parking. And so, but this is for bigger buildings. And then bigger buildings also, they'll add a laundry system. And I've even seen 4 units. They'll put one washer and dryer that's coin operated in there, let everybody use it, and that might bring in an extra $400 or $500 a month from everybody doing all their laundry. And so now that'll cost you probably $34,000 to put it in there, but you'll make your money back over time, and it can be a good money maker. Okay, so now we've looked at the cash needed, we've looked at our debt service, our loan payments, we've looked at the expenses. Now we've looked at our income. Now we're over here at value add. This is how I determine if I'm going to buy a property. Now I told you $18,000 was the amount of utilities. I'm going to put 14 of this $18,000 back into their name. So I'm still going to cover $4,000 of some stuff, but I'm going to put $18,000. I'm going to put $14,000. So if I come back here and I put RUBS, I'm going to add in $14,000 a year in RUBS, right? So the total projected, and I'm probably going to increase the rent $100 a unit over time. So that's $600 a month. 6 times 12 is $7,200 a year, right? So that's probably going to be my value add. I'm going to be able to increase this number by $21,200 probably over the course of about 2 years, maybe 2.5 years. Here is the power. Okay, so now I told you we bought it for $720. Because if you increase the total revenue by $21,000, we're buying it at a 9 cap. So let's say we sell it at an 8 cap. I'm going to be really, really careful not to confuse you. This is why this does this project for you. Because when you sell a multifamily, they're going to ask you what cap rate. That means what capitalization rate. Yeah. All that means is here's your net operating income. your net operating income divided by your sale price. That's all that is. And if we're buying it at a 9, we could probably sell it on at 8. So check this out, round up. $21,000 a year, you just increased the value of this building $265,000. Now check this out. I told you it'd take me 2 years. You ready? You ready to have some real fun with multifamily? Check this out.
Yeah.
$265,000 in 2 years. I'm going to go back to the bank. I'm going to refinance all my money out, and I'm going to give it back to my investors. And I'm going to let my investors keep some equity in the property, and then they're going to let me take that money and go invest again. Welcome to multifamily.
Oh, okay. You're going to reuse that.
I'm going to reuse that money. Because let me tell you, if I give my investors 100% of their money back and they're still making money, they're making money on no money invested.
On a derivative.
And so now we call that an infinite return. Mm-hmm. They're making an infinite return. Who else are they going to give that money to? I mean, nice. They're making an infinite return. I always say this, if you give me somebody by 48 years old, by the time they're 62, that's 14 years. I can do this in the tune of 3 to 6 times. I can create an entire retirement with this model. And so this is the power. Now I'm gonna zoom out a little bit so you can see the whole thing. This is the power of this software. It does it for you. And so this is why I put this thing together, because so many people are like, yeah, but how do I do a deal, and how do I look at the numbers? And hey, I am a numbers person, but I get not everybody gets up in the morning and loves this stuff. But I want to encourage you. I had a mentor say to me one time, I used to hate to read. I didn't read a book till I was 23 years old. And I stepped foot on a college campus the first time at age 25 and got my degree. And I learned to love reading. And I heard a guy say to me one time, he said, listen, if you want to lead, you better learn to read, or please don't subject your followers to a leader who will not learn.
Wow.
And that was a powerful thing to me. And what I want to tell you is, please do not subject your investors to somebody who is not willing to plow through the numbers. Because this is that important. You're talking about people's college funds for their kids, their retirement funds, their cash in their bank that they've worked hard for. If I'm going to take somebody's cash, I better be darn sure I'm sure on these numbers, right? And so that's the latest deal. And these investors are ecstatic because they know that, hey, you know what? I've done this a bunch of times now, and they know, hey, he's going to get the value up here. We're going to refinance our money out. We're all going to have our money back, and we're just going to keep doing it again.
Nice.
Right? So, and the powerful thing is, let's say you get all this money out, everybody gets their money back, and you go to, now you have another 210,000 you can go invest. The cool thing is, the more network you get on that next deal, you can add more investors. Let's say you want to buy a $2 million property. Okay, you just have to go keep adding investors to that mix, and you can keep buying a bigger property. This is the power of multifamily. And this is why I put the Multifamily CEO course and Seller Financing Secrets together, because I wanted to give all this content to people so that you can get this content in people's hands so that you guys can start doing multifamily. All right. So that is nice, the deal, Mike. My friend. How do we have any questions coming in that I can answer?
Just a few, Chris? Yeah. Round up. If you're just joining us, we got 83 people on here hanging out with Mike awesome. Fritz, and just going over one of his deals, multifamily investing. And if you want to get today's the last day for Mike's Black Friday / Cyber Monday special, Mike, just tell them what they will be getting if they want to learn this stuff. I love that little analyzer. What do you call it there?
It's a multifamily deal analyzer. Yep. Nice. Yep. It's a multifamily deal analyzer, and I'm adding to it. It's in its 3rd revision. I'm actually revising it again because I'm going to put all of your unit mixes on another page, so you can see I've got 2 2-bedrooms and 1 3-bedroom, and you can see all your unit mixes. I'm going to put that page in, so it's always evolving to continue to add more value to you as the investor.
Thank you.
But yeah, so what the roundup package that Chris and I put together is, you get the Multifamily CEO course, which really is broken up in 3 major sections, and that's finding deals, finding money, and how to operate your properties so that you see these returns so you can get your money back to your investors. So we have these 3 things, right? So we have to find the deal, we got to find the money, and we have to start operating them well. So you get the whole Multifamily CEO course. It's 33 videos. It is my life's work of pouring into multifamily. And then this Saturday, I'm going to record the course Seller Financing Secrets, And that is basically going to teach you how to find and structure seller financing deals, the power of them, how you can bust into that market. Because let's say you do find a 2 or a 4 unit, you want to get into multifamily, you can also do that seller financing. So the owner carries the mortgage and you just make payments to the seller. And Chris knows about this. I'm sure you've done seller financing deals. It's a powerful method, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah. Next to buying subject to taking over the debt, seller financing is the second easiest way to buy, I would say.
Yeah, I would agree. Subject to is another thing. By the way, subject to, take Chris's information on subject to. You can also apply subject to multifamily. I've done it. You can. And so the subject to model, or where you take over somebody's debt who's maybe in distress. And by the way, in the next year, we may see a lot of subject to offers coming up and opportunities presenting itself for people that can't make their payments. So all that to say, so they get the multifamily CEO course, they get seller financing secrets. I'm going to throw at you this deal analyzer. You're going to get this as well. And then you're going to get a live group coaching session for just Chris's people. It's just the people that have invested in this package. And that's going to happen at 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on Saturday. We're going to get on a Zoom. You're going to bring your questions, and I'm just going to sit there and answer from the gut. You might have a deal. You say, I have this deal down the road. What do you think of this? I'll go through it. You might say, how do I find money? Whatever your questions are, I'm going to answer that. You get all that. Now, each one of those courses, Seller Financing Secrets and Multifamily, go for $1,000 a pop. And Chris put this whole thing together for $397. One payment of $397. It's a couple meals out, my friends. Please do yourself a favor.
2 maybe.
Do yourself a favor for sure.
You got the graphic there, Mike?
Yeah.
Let me see that so they can understand. Yep, we're going to get some Q&A too, round up. Thank you for bearing with us. I got my other guests coming on as well to just give you a recap. Mike, get what I'm asking you. So many questions. When you're looking at these things, do you use that deal analyzer on every one of these things when you're out there?
Yep, I do. Did you get that, Chris, that graphic?
Yeah, it's up. Go ahead. Oh,
right, good. Oh,
leave it
sorry.
Up. Oh, did you?
There we go. Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Yeah, so the sale, just so everybody knows, it does end today at midnight. Ends today at midnight. So make sure you pop in and grab your package. And right when you invest in yourself, you'll get an email from me laying out everything you need. So you'll get the deal analyzer. I'll email you the deal analyzer. You also get access to our private Facebook group. I'll email you the link to that. I'll email you the time and the Zoom link for the group coaching this Saturday. You'll get an email, kind of a concierge email with all your stuff. So some people have invested and say, hey, I don't see this. They get an email about 10 to 20 minutes after they invest, and you'll get a huge email with all your stuff. So that just is that. So just to make sure that you understand that. And then what were you asking, Chris?
Yeah, I was. You know what? We were talking about subject to.
Yeah,
I'm going to ask you: does the seller, in my mind, I've only bought one duplex.
Sure.
Seller wasn't necessarily. They did owner financing, some owner financing for me.
Yeah.
I'm thinking with single family homes, a lot of times the sellers are distressed. I'm thinking in multifamily, do they even have to be distressed for it to be? I'm just thinking, like, if I'm a multifamily owner, and I want to just kind of get out and create more cash flow for myself, do I have to be is it more distress situation?
Yes. Yeah, so on the subject to side, yes. On seller financing, no.
Gotcha.
On the subject to side, usually for somebody to just give you the house and let you take over their loan, usually they're in some sort of distress. Everyone I've done like that, somebody was in a sort of a life situation that was not comfortable. They needed out.
Okay.
On seller financing, let me tell you something with seller financing. The number one reason why people do seller financing, and in the course, I walk through all the motivations of why people should be doing this, and so that you can explain to sellers why they should be considering seller financing, because a lot of people don't even know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but the power of seller financing is that the owner they can limit their capital gains tax. Because if you sell a property, let's say they've owned it. I bought a property that somebody owned for 30 years. They would have had to pay close to 40 or 42% tax, almost half tax on all of their gains of that property. But if they take that cash flow over time, they're going to charge me 6% interest, just like a bank would, or a percentage of interest. That percentage of interest all but covers their tax. So they're essentially getting that tax free. They just don't get all their money at once. So I walk through that in the seller financing. So yeah, so they're not always in distress, but subject to usually are. Seller financing, not so much.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Just curious about that.
No, that's good. That's a great question.
All right, round up. Let's get to it. We got a few Q&A, a few questions came in. Round up. Why not? Mike is here. He's on my dime for today, so I reached out to him. You traveling? Where you at? Salt Lake City?
Out of Salt Lake City, man. I'm up with a couple of business friends up here. We're looking at doing some stuff together. So I took a trip up. It's actually gorgeous up here. It's colder than I'll get out, but it's beautiful.
Joseph wants to know the investors. How do they get their money? How do they get their interest payment? But when do they get the original 50,000 back they put in? That was a good one.
Great question. I don't know what was the name of that person, Chris?
Joseph.
Fantastic question, Joseph. When I ask people to invest in multifamily, I am usually leveraging equity investors, not lenders. So the money I raise and I give them a piece of the equity. So they're a percentage owner of the property, not just a lender. If you went and got a lender, it would be just like a bank. You'd make a payment to them under whatever terms you decided. So my $50,000 investors on this deal, they make every quarter, I give an investor distribution of all their profits for that quarter. And I do that to all the investors, and they'll make their profit. And then when they refinance, they all get their money back. But it's not a percentage thing. We raise the down payment and the acquisition cost, and we go to a bank for the rest of the money.
Gotcha.
Great question. Fantastic question.
Make sure you hit that subscribe, hit that thumbs up. Thank you, Danny. I always forget to ask that. Thank you. Phyllis, with the low inventory, should I bid over the asking price and use the appraisal and inspection to get the price down? Good one.
Great question. That's actually a good tactic. The problem is, so what's happening right now, in case people don't understand your question, because inventory is so low right now, there are a lot of multiple offers on the day of offers, or the day it goes live happens. And then you've got this issue where, okay, the highest bid wins, but then the appraisal comes in and it's like, hey, it appraised for $20,000 less than you offered. So one of two things have to happen. Either you have to make up that $20,000 difference, cash out of pocket, or the seller has to be willing to come down, or you meet in the middle, or something, right? Mm-hmm. So here's what I always say in multifamily. The numbers are our boss. So if the numbers tell me I can pay another $20,000 for this property, then I'll pay another $20,000 for this property. But if the numbers tell me no, even at what they're asking, there's very little return, then I don't do that. I just, like, you know what? I might offer less. Say, listen, the numbers tell me I can only pay you $680 on this property, and they might go, no, we think we can get more. Okay, well, more power to you. Have a great day. I'm unwilling, just in an inventory short market, I'll wait 6 months to do a deal. I literally will wait 6 months to do a deal before I'll pay for a deal that's okay kind of thing. Gotcha. And in that deal analyzer thing, I forgot to mention this down here. If you look down here, we're in the 15% cash on cash. I want to see that. That's pretty high. That means I'm making 15% of the money I invest. I'm making every year on this cash on cash. I want to see this around 10. Of course, the higher the better. This is an extra good deal. That's why it's so high. But you want to see this as close to 10 as you can, because you want to be able to have enough cash on cash return for your investors.
Gotcha. Let's see. Oops. Joseph, good one. He wants Joseph. That was Phyllis. Thank you, Phyllis. Joseph wants to know, what if you can't refinance, Mike? Is there an issue with the investors?
Yeah, great question. So if you can't refinance, the goal is to refinance. So let's say the value plummets. Like, let's say in the next, and I'm about to close on a property in the next week, and my investor asked me, Mike, what's the worst thing that could go wrong? And this is what I told him. I said, well, we're not going to see a tank in rents. People are going to be paying the same in rent. We could see a tank in value. If the economy does crash and our $1 million property is now worth $300,000, we could see a huge tank in value. But what that means is we just don't refinance until the value comes back up. And so which could happen. Absolutely.
We always think it could happen.
Absolutely. And so when 100% could happen. And so what I tell my investors is, our goal is to refinance inside of 2 to 4 years, but we will refinance as soon as we can, which, if anything happens to the economy, that could take way more years. I mean, a buddy of mine bought a piece of property in 2007 The value obviously tanked 2008, 2009. He just sold it 60 days ago, right? 13 years later, he waited for that value to come back up. So it could take us a while, but guess what? We're going to be making cash every single year while we wait. What other asset do you know if it tanks in value, you can still make money every single year and still get paid, right? And so they might not get their investment money back, but they're still getting paid on their money.
It's so crazy how I think about my houses now. It's irrelevant. I don't care if they're worth $10,000 or $1 million. I still make, $1,000.
Exactly. Exactly. You still make this is what I love about, I watched in 2008, 2009, I watched multifamily weather that storm. Now not in value tanked just like everything else, but it weathered it because the cash flow actually increased a little. Rents went up because there were so many more people that were created into renters. So the demand went up, but we saw $700 units going for $750 and $800. Wow, you get to see a big jump in your cash flow, and you just have to wait to refinance or sell your property. Yeah,
good one, Joseph.
That's a great one.
We answered that. Subject to Joseph, we did that. We touched that one already, Mike.
Yeah, okay, good deal.
Yeah. Deshaun, hey Deshaun, he wants to know. It looks like he's a chef. No. How long did it take you to raise your investment capital since after you made your offer?
Yeah, so I would not suggest doing it this way, but I made the offer and I had no capital. I put myself on the hook. I'm like, here's the deal. I'm going to make the offer and I'm going to go make it happen. And I went and I shook the trees until 210 grand fell out. And now I would not suggest everybody do that. I'm not saying you should do that. Please hear my words. I'm not saying you should, but I'm just saying that's what I did. It took me about 2.5 weeks to raise that money. Because I called it just being, you'd see a monkey always their hands, just phone monkey. I just called it because, a monkey's always their hands everywhere. I'm just like, hey, man, I'm just going to call up anybody I can. Because remember, we're not salespeople. Chris says this all the time, too. We're offering opportunities to people, right? So it took me but the good thing to do right now is a good time to start talking to people about investing, even if you don't have a deal. Get that money ready. So when you do have a deal, you're ready to pull the trigger.
That's right. Deshaun, good question. Hey, Mike, thank you so much. Roundup. Go head over to the link. It is in the video description. This will end today. Mike has been so gracious. Yes. So go down below right in the video description. Get heading over for the Multifamily CEO and the Seller Financing Secrets. Mike, thank you for your time, brother. Final thoughts on multifamily. Yeah.
Man, thank you so much. Again, guys, this is a powerful market to be in because you can make that acquisition fee. You can earn money on all the money coming in every month. It's just so powerful. Go do it. But I can tell you that this content has taken me years and years and years to learn. And you can literally get access to it and learn it in a couple of weeks if you go through the training. Yeah. And so it's just cut your learning curve by years, believe me. And so and this is literally a couple meals, couple meals, couple Starbucks, and you got your thing paid for, exactly. So do yourself a favor. And again, time is the greatest investment. You gave us your time today. So thank you all so much. I'm really appreciative. And Chris, thank you, brother. It's always great to hang out with you, man.
Yeah, thank you too. Okay, guys, get signed up for the Multifamily CEO. And I did what that link is in the video description. Ends today. We've got a couple other guests. Make sure you are subscribed. We've got a few other guests that have their Cyber Monday stuff going on. And I just decided to do my little one-day thing for my stuff. I wasn't going to do it, but I got 1 million emails. So, yes, you can go to my site, chrishanskins.com, and get my stuff as well, just for today. A discount on my Cyber Monday stuff. Mike, safe travels, my friend.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much, Chris. So great to hang out with y'all today.
Yep. Okay, Roundup, subscribe, like the content, and I'll see you shortly on the next video. Peace.
See you all.